There's a strange kind of silence that comes when the world finally stops expecting anything from you. Pause. That's the silence I woke up to. On my 27th birthday. Pause. No calls. No texts. No, we're proud of you. Just the hum of my old refrigerator. And the rain tapping on the window. A sound more loyal than most people I knew. Pause, soft inhale. My name is Mira Solace. And this is the story of how silence became my weapon. Growing up, my family lived in a small house at the edge of Easton. Slight pause. It looked perfect from the outside. White fence, trimmed garden, and that big window that always caught the morning sun. Inside was a different story. Pause. Mom cared more about reputation than connection. Dad was a man of few words, and even fewer emotions. And my brother, Ryan, the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. Pause. If he brought home a B, it was because the teacher was unfair. If I brought home an A, it was because that's what you're supposed to do, Myra. Beat, exhale. Love in our home had conditions, and I failed most of them. When I turned 16, I told them I wanted to be a designer, not a lawyer, not a doctor, not something respectable. Pause. Mom laughed. That sharp, metallic laugh that still echoes in my memory. You can't make a living drawing pretty pictures, Myra. Beat. But I didn't argue. I just started sketching at night. In secret. When everyone slept, I'd sit by the hallway light and draw patterns until dawn. Back then, it wasn't about money. It was survival. A way to remind myself that I still existed. Long pause, soft piano cue. Fast forward a few years. College was out of the question. They said they couldn't waste money on hobbies. So I left. Pause. No big goodbye. No tearful send-off. Just one suitcase. And a head full of unapproved dreams. Beat. For a while, life wasn't poetic. It was just hard. Pause. I rented a small studio that smelled of old paint. Worked days at a stationery shop. And nights designing flyers for local cafes. Every rejection email felt like a knife twist. But every yes, even the smallest one, was a lifeline. Slow exhale. I learned to measure success. Not in applause, but in quiet moments of progress. No one else could see. Then came Liam. Pause, gentle guitar note. He was a photographer who came into the shop often. Easy smile. Restless eyes. The kind of man who saw stories in everything. Pause. He noticed my sketches once. Said they had soul. And for the first time, I believed maybe I did too. Soft pause. We started working together. Designing covers, visual campaigns. Tiny projects that paid just enough. For takeout dinners and hope. Beat. But hope is fragile. Especially when it starts depending on someone else. One morning. Pause. I woke up to find half the apartment empty. His side of the bed gone. The laptop gone. And the folder of my designs gone too. Beat silence. A few days later, I saw my work online. Under his name. Same fonts. Same logo concepts. Same everything. He didn't even bother to change the file names. Pause. I didn't cry that day. I just sat in the dark and realized I had finally become invisible enough for even my art to be stolen. But pain, if you sit with it long enough, turns into fuel. Pause, rising strings. So I started again. Different style. Different name. Different world. I called my brand Sorry Studio, a word that meant rebirth. In an old dialect my grandmother once spoke. Beat. It began small. Custom design commissions, handmade art covers, brand logos for struggling startups. But this time, I didn't rush. I didn't beg. I built. Pause, steady heartbeat rhythm builds. Brick by digital brick. 2 years later, Sorry Studio wasn't just mine. It was a movement. Independent brands sought me out. Design conferences quoted my work. And for the first time, my inbox was full of people who saw me. Pause. The world had changed, and I had changed with it. Success didn't make me loud. It made me precise. Beat. Then one morning, a message request. Mom. Pause, slow inhale. The words almost looked foreign beside her name. Heard about your studio. Ryan's company might need design help. Let's talk. Pause. No, how are you? No, we're proud. Just business. I didn't reply, but something inside me shifted. For years, I dreamt of that message. And now that it came, I felt nothing. Beat. That's when I realized the opposite of love isn't hate. It's indifference. A few months later, Ryan's engagement invitation arrived. Pause. A luxury event. Designer venue. Guest list full of people who once laughed at my dreams. Beat. Part of me wanted to ignore it. The other part, the part that had survived storms alone, wanted to walk in and let silence do what words never could. Pause, cinematic swell. So I went. The hall shimmered with chandeliers and soft jazz. Everyone dressed in curated perfection. Polished smiles. Whispered judgments. When I entered, a few faces froze. Beat. Ryan's fiancée, Claire, approached. You're Mira, right? The designer. Ryan mentioned you once. Once. That word carried years of erasure. Yes, I said softly. I suppose he did. Pause. Then Mom appeared. Perfect hair. Perfect posture. Perfect denial. Oh, Mira, you came. You look different. Different good, or different unexpected. She blinked, speechless. Dad stood behind her, silent as always. Pause. For a while, I stood there, surrounded by everything I once thought I needed, and realized I didn't need any of it. After the speeches and fake laughter, I slipped away to the balcony. Pause, gentle wind SFX. City lights stretched like veins across the night. Cold air brushed my skin. But inside, I felt warm. Beat. Ryan joined me. You've done well for yourself. I had to. He hesitated. Why didn't you tell us how hard it was? I smiled faintly. Because you weren't listening. Pause, heavy silence. He looked away. For once, the golden boy had no words. Weeks later, I bought a new studio. Not across from their house, but across everything that used to define me. Beat. Glass walls. Soft light. Quiet music playing from invisible speakers. At the center, the first sketch I ever drew. A crooked butterfly with uneven wings. Under it I wrote, you can break symmetry and still fly. Pause, heartwarming swell. People think revenge is loud. That it comes with grand gestures and public apologies. But real revenge is peace. Pause. Peace that can't be taken away. Peace that comes when you no longer crave to be seen. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply exist. Beat. Louder than their disbelief. Quieter than their noise. Piano fades into soft strings. Years later, I stood on a stage, in front of thousands of people who believed in sorry. Pause. I looked out at the lights and smiled. For anyone who's ever been told, they're too quiet, too emotional, too impossible. Soft inhale. Remember this. Quiet things grow in silence. You just have to let them. Pause. Gentle applause fades in. They said I'd fade away. They said I'd break. But I didn't fade. Beat. I transformed. Pause. And every time they hear my name now, they'll remember the silence they created. And the woman who learned to speak without needing words.